The Sith are widely known for their use of the crimson-red lightsaber blades, and they have adopted this tradition as a sort of insult to the Jedi. Palpatine actually believed that the Sith of the Rule of Two era had evolved past the use of lightsabers after Bane, and they only continued to use them as to mock the Jedi's use of the weapon. But of course, many other Rule of Two era Sith would disagree with this evaluation, as they were esteemed swordsmen and warriors in their own right. But were there ever any Sith Lords that didn't use the crimson-colored blade? Absolutely, and in this video, we will break down and evaluate some of my favorite examples. To start, I want to debunk one Sith's use of a purple lightsaber. The Sith Lord Darth Bane never actually wielded a purple lightsaber, despite countless illustrations depicting him doing so. Darth Bane's lightsaber was a single-bladed curved tilt crimson blade and was practically weightless, making it extremely unique, but that is besides the point. The reason Bane is depicted so often with the purple lightsaber blade is honestly because it looks cool, especially when he's using his Orbalisk armor. Although the purple blade is cool, Bane's curved weapon is a legendary and unique one, and not one he would have given up anytime soon. Now for Sith, it actually used different colored blades. For one, Anakin Skywalker, immediately following his turn to the dark side, still maintained the use of his blue-bladed Jedi weapon. He did this though because there was not enough time for him to construct another one, and the extermination of the Jedi had to be carried out immediately following his turn. Vader did however eventually construct a new lightsaber with a red blade. Some have theorized though that if he had not lost his original lightsaber on Mustafar, he would have kept it due to his familiarity with the weapon, and continued on with the blue blade, perhaps later switching his crystal for a red synthetic one, but keeping the hilt. Another example is Darth Krayt, who used a green-bladed lightsaber in conjunction with a regular red-bladed one. Krayt was a dual-blade fencer, and thus used two lightsabers in combat. The reason Krayt opted to have his second weapon be green is because it was his father's lightsaber, and was gifted to him before he died. Despite Krayt being a Dark Lord of the Sith, the lightsaber still held great value to him, and he had used it all through his time as a Jedi Knight, and after, and because of this, kept it even after becoming an agent of the dark side. So now we have come to a Sith who never used a red lightsaber at all, Exar Kun. Exar Kun utilized a dual-bladed dark blue lightsaber, and although the blades were not red, they were imbued with dark energy. The reason Kun never used a red blade was because he represented the return of the Sith. He was in fact a Jedi that had turned and brought the Sith back following the death of Freed Nad. As a Jedi, Kun used a single-bladed blue lightsaber, and once he ascended to a Dark Lord, he added a second blade feature and imbued his original crystal with the dark side. Since Kun was the first of the returned Sith, this is likely also why he never took on the title of Darth. The reason for this is because Kun's teacher was the spirit of Freed Nad, and was not actually a physical being, and likely never told Kun about the tradition of the red lightsabers or the title. Kun simply took his Jedi weapon and modified and corrupted it, making it a tool for the dark, but keeping the blades a blue color. Next we have the Sith Warrior, Warb Null. Warb Null was seen in possession of a long-handled lightsaber similar to a light club, but if one were to examine the weapon more closely, it would reveal itself as a dual-bladed one. Although the lightsaber was dual-bladed, Null never used both blades at a single time. The most common blade he used was an exceptionally long green one. The reasoning behind this is widely unknown, but it may have just been chalked up to his taste in weaponry, and he also wanted to implement the more traditional Sith color for occasional use. The next example is actually quite an obscure one. Following Palpatine's resurrection in the expanded universe, he opted to use a very light blue hued lightsaber instead of his original red variants. Again, the reasoning for this is unknown, and he never really used it all that often following his return, instead falling back on his force powers, as at that point they far outweighed his skill with the blade. Darth Revan also for a very short period of time used a purple lightsaber along with his red lightsaber, but this was only done in certain situations, and he typically stuck to a single red-bladed one. The final example I want to discuss is actually the apprentice of Exar Kun, Ulic Qel-Droma, who actually used a very light green lightsaber, almost yellow, and the reasoning behind this is nearly the same as Kun's. Although Kun and Qel-Droma held the knowledge the Sith typically used red lightsaber blades, they had been Jedi prior and simply did not continue the tradition, instead opting to keep their Jedi weapons and alter them into something more sinister. So there it is. These are some of the best examples of Sith that used lightsaber colors other than red. A really interesting thing though is that in concept art for The Force Awakens, a Knight of Ren was showcased using two blue lightsabers. This is intriguing because we know the Knights of Ren are a dark side organization, but are not Sith, and so far the only confirmed member that we know about is Kylo Ren, and he uses a red one. I think it would be a cool choice to have a villain use a lightsaber other than a red one in a new movie, and throw the audience for a little twist. All around though, I agree with George Lucas that the villains using the red blades and the heroes using the lighter colors like blue and green is fitting and goes well thematically visually. That being said though, just because something is new doesn't mean it's bad, and I would love to see this little change somewhere along the line. So tell me down below how you feel about these Sith that did not use red lightsabers or used other colors. If you think the villains of Star Wars should always have red blades, or maybe switch it up and try something a little bit different, leave all thoughts down below. Thank you so much as always for watching. May the Force be with you and have a great day.